Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the IBM Qiskit Live Quantum Seminar Series. I see some of you have anticipated my favorite question, which is, where's everyone tuning in from today? You can reply to that in the comment chat box here on YouTube, somewhere located on your screen above, below, right, left, where we can also discuss and interact in real time. And I see a lot of you today are snowed in, so hopefully this will bring a little warmth back into the home. We have a very special seminar today. Unlike many of our other seminars today, we're really going to go back to the fundamentals and look at the bridge leaping into the world of quantum physics. So I'll be thrilled to roll out in just a minute our special speaker today. To remind you, the seminar takes place every Friday at noon Eastern Time. You can subscribe to know what's coming up. And you can always go back and watch the seminars as they stay up and recorded. However, you can only have these fun discussions and chats during the seminars themselves. So I think with that, sending warm wishes to those of you in Santa Barbara and Portland, and I suppose in Israel, maybe you don't have the snowstorm today. I think that it's time to roll out the latest episode of the IBM Qiskit Live Quantum Seminar Series dedicated to you, the research and academic quantum communities. I am your host, Zlatko Minev from IBM Quantum Research, and today I have the pleasure and privilege of hosting Ghislain Lefebvre. We've been working on my French pronunciation from the Institut quantique at University of Sherbrooke. Who will tell us about special quantum enigmas. Now, before we get to that, Ghislain began his career as a physics teacher in several colleges in the province of Quebec. He then launched his own business by founding a brewery with his wife, where he was a brewer and president, which I think also earns you a unique distinction among all of our speakers, as I think you're the first to have done that. During during his years in the beer and agri-food industry, Ghislain also was a gourmet radio columnist for Radio Canada and the French CBC station. Since 2020, Ghislain is back in the world of physics and holds a position of Chief Partnership Officer and Educational Outreach Manager for the Institut quantique at U Sherbrooke. Ghislain, it's a pleasure to welcome you to the seminar.
Well, thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here with you today to present to you this very special project we've been working on over the last years.
Lovely. And are you dialing in from Quebec today?
Yeah, totally. So I'm in Sherbrooke, Quebec. I'll show you a map of where we are exactly in just a minute. I plan to tell you exactly. It's still sunny here, pretty cold, but I know snow's coming pretty soon.
Lovely. Well, with that, the stage is yours.
Well, thank you very much. So if anyone has any questions at any point in time during the presentation, feel free to put them in the chat, and Zlatko will be able to ask them to me. So I want to talk to you about the Quantum Enigmas video series that we launched about a year ago. It's junior challenges in quantum computing. We really wanted to create this very special tool, going to schools and going to talk to young students, and we wanted to have this engaging material. So before I tell you more about the enigmas themselves, let me present to you the plan of the workshop. So we're going to talk a little bit about why we wanted to do these videos in more details. I'm going to present to you the first enigma of the series with some explanation on how we use that material in the classroom. Then talk a bit about the direct notation and how we link it to the use of the enigmas. And then I'm going to talk to you about exercises you can do on your own using the enigmas. And finally, at the end of this presentation, I want to launch the newest quantum enigma. So it's going to be the official launch today of this latest video. And this is all for the end of the hour. So Institut quantique, this is, if you look somewhere about above this Institut quantique's logo here, I should be somewhere around here, if I'm not mistaken. So you don't see myself there right now because that was taken in summertime. There is much more snow right now, but still this is our new building. And we are located somewhere around here which is about an hour and a half east of Montreal, about 45 minutes north of the Vermont border. So pretty cool, pretty close to the United States there. And well, basically a lot of things taking place in Sherbrooke right now with a like whole ecosystem building in quantum these days. But what I want to talk to you about in more details today is really how we want to work on attracting talent. We know there's a shortage of talent in the quantum industry these days, and Institut Quantique's mission really is to attract these people, while young and older, to well, learn about quantum, learn to use quantum, and well, especially quantum computing in their work, well, either actual or future. Since last September, we have a bachelor's degree that's been started, and this is very exciting for us to have this first cohort of about 19 young students, very keen in learning quantum computing. Then we also have this outreach project that we call Quantum Curious. And we've talked to so many people over the last 3 years with this project. It's great to engage with people here in Sherbrooke, but then more widely in Quebec and Canada, and like worldwide with some well, projects as the Quantum Enigmas I will talk to you about in just a minute. Then going to high schools, we've met with more than 1,000 students in the last year alone. And then, well, going into the classrooms, we, well, found at some point that we were lacking some good material to engage. And this is, again, why we started thinking about the Quantum Enigmas. In this whole pipeline of talent, we are working at Institut Quantique on all these parts, but today with the Quantum Enigmas, what we will be focusing on is high school and colleges here, and probably a bit of undergrad studies as well. So more on the long-term side here of the graph. And this is, well, what we intend these enigmas for. But then, of course, anyone, whatever the age, can enjoy them and, of course, use them to learn about, well, first steps in quantum computing. With the enigmas, well, our first target, I just said it, well, we want to talk to college and bachelor students. Then the structure of the enigmas really is to use, I say, mostly classical enigmas, because towards the end of the series, we get into computing, into quantum well, problems that we want to solve. But at first, let's start like easier with classical enigmas. Then what we want to do is to map the enigma on the composer of a quantum computer. Then we want to solve the problems and analyze the results, of course, that we get at the end. Finding the right enigmas was quite a challenge for us, because there had to be some characteristics to these enigmas in order for them to be like well suited for quantum computing. Even though, again, there is no quantum advantage in what I'm going to show you today. Well, not at first, at least. The idea really is to grasp the idea of quantum computing through the logic of quantum, but without using the math, or not too much math, I should say, and without going into the Python coding associated to it. So we want to use the logic of quantum logic gates. We want to bring these logic or these gates to classical examples that we can think of. So the enigmas that we want to have are really, well, present some characteristics. Among them, parallelism is probably the main one, the most important one. So we wanted to have enigmas for which there was multiple scenarios possible in parallel. And this mimics the way, of course, quantum computers work. So finding these enigmas is not easy. I can tell you, I probably read and watched more than like 100, maybe 200 enigmas over the past 3 years, trying to find the right ones. Then we had to have simple enigmas, even though they are not necessarily easy. I'm not saying they're easy all the way, but we had to have simple enigmas. Just to tell you an example of this, I found one that was very interesting last summer, but it was so complicated. I went through the whole process of mapping it on the composer, of solving it, and writing a whole story about it. Then when I shared the scenario with the rest of the team here, because you'll see with the Enigmas, most of the time I'm the one writing the scenario, or the first draft of it, I should say. Then I have at least two of my co-workers here, my colleagues, who are into quantum computing on a daily basis. I'm more on outreach. I'm more on partnership development here in my position. So I don't do the coding as like the center of my career here. So I'm not deep into the project. So I always ask our quantum software developers here to have a look at the scenarios, tear them down into pieces, then build them back and get like the best out of it all. And then when I showed them this last scenario I was talking about, it was so complicated. They told me, Ghislain, you know what? It was great reading it. It won't be an Enigma that we will be producing. It's way too complicated. Find something else. Okay, good, fine. I understand that. And you know what? I mean, it's going to be, it's good that it's been that way, because the one that we finally found is so amazing. It's going to be probably the 9th or 10th Enigma that is going to be launched later this year. But still, I mean, so good Enigma. I mean, I'm glad that they tore down the idea of this one that was too complicated. So we want to have simple Enigmas. We want to have simple situations, classical, then map them on the composer. This is the idea here. So I always tell that the quantum Enigmas, they're not the first step in quantum computing. They are the second step. I'm saying that because we don't explain in too much details what the gates are. Well, maybe, of course, but this first video that we call the intro video, it's not this, clearly an Enigma by itself. It's more a grocery list of everything that's needed for understanding the Enigmas that come after. So the intro video, if you watch it, you're going to see that we go through what's a qubit, what quantum gates are. Of course, we introduce the concepts of superposition, entanglement, interference, and measurement, I should add. So it's always, important to have a knowledge about these concepts before jumping into the Enigmas. And then the Enigmas will be the second step in quantum computing. And this is what we found. It's easy to go on the web, find intro videos that will talk about these concepts. There's plenty of material out there. But when we were in the classroom, it was hard for us to tell the students, okay, now that we've talked about these concepts that you see on the screen right now, now that we've seen that all, what is next step for you? What can we give you as material for you to have fun at home without having to go through the whole Qiskit textbook, for example, or like very heavy material? So what would be the next step? Without going into too much math, without going into too much Python coding, for example. So the idea really is to say, okay, can we have this second step? And this is how we came up with the quantum Enigmas. In the classroom, we usually use the Enigmas after about 2 hours of presentation. So first hour, it really is what quantum computing is, what a quantum computer is. Then the second hour, we go on the IBM Quantum Experience website. We play around with the quantum gates on the composer. We see how they affect the states of the qubits. And you see the basic gates that we present. Nothing very complicated there. Then we have fun for about an hour with the gates. And then the third hour, then we introduce the first Enigma of the series. And actually, this is what I propose to you right now. So let's watch this first Enigma, and we come back right after, but don't leave. You will have the Enigma shown on your screen in about a second.
You are walking towards your destiny when suddenly you come across 2 doors. Behind one of the doors lies a treasure, but you don't know which one. There is a guardian in front of each door, and both know where the treasure is. One of the 2 guardians always lies, while the other speaks the truth. You don't know which one is lying or which one is telling the truth. Both guardians know which one is lying. Your challenge: ask a single question to one of the two guardians to find out where the treasure is. You can press pause to think about it or listen to the answer now. The question you should ask is, which door would the other guardian tell me not to open? Explanation: both of the guardian answers are always the opposite of each other if you ask, which door is the treasure behind? Or alternatively, which door is the treasure not behind? This statement is no longer true if one asks, which door would the other guardian tell me not to open? With this question, both guardians give the same answer, the right one. Let's suppose the treasure is on the right and the right guardian is lying. If you ask the one on the right, which door would the other guardian tell me not to open? He'll lie and answer, the other guardian would say not to open the right door. If the left guardian is asked the same question, he knows the right one is lying and answers, the other guardian would say not to open the right door. To translate this problem on a quantum computer, we'll need several quantum gates. The NOT gate transforms the state of qubits into their opposite state. The C0 gate uses two qubits, a control qubit and a target qubit. If the control qubit is in the one state, a NOT gate is applied to the target qubit. The swap gate switches the state of two qubits. Finally, the Hadamard gate places a qubit in a superposition of 0 and 1 states. The Hadamard gate creates a 50% chance of obtaining one state or the other, thereby allowing us to explore all possibilities in parallel. The two guardians know where the treasure is and are each assigned a qubit. To place the treasure randomly, let's use a Hadamard gate on Q0 followed by a C0 gate from Q0 to Q1 to ensure both guardians know the same thing. At this point, the probabilities of the treasure being on the right and on the left are in superposition. The qubits are simultaneously in state 00 and 11. If they were measured, or in this case, if they were asked which door the treasure is behind, both guardians would give the same answer. The two qubits are entangled. Since one of the two guardians is lying, we add a third qubit to the circuit for the lie itself. If the lie qubit is in state 1, the left guardian is lying and we invert his answer. If the right guardian is lying, we flip the right guardian's answer. By adding a Hadamard gate, the two possibilities are in superposition. There's a 50% chance of getting 0 or 1 for each answer. If you were to ask one of them, behind which door is the treasure, then the two would have opposite answers. Here are the 4 possibilities that describe the system. Either the treasure is on the right and the right guardian is lying, the treasure is on the right and the left guardian is lying, the treasure is on the left and the right guardian is lying, or the treasure is on the left and the left guardian is lying. The 4 possibilities coexist in parallel until the final measure is made. We want to ask, which door would the other guardian tell me not to open? To represent the statement, what would the other guardian tell me? Let's apply a swap gate. Since we are asking not to open, let's also add a NOT gate on Q0 and Q1. Finally, keep in mind that one of the two guardians is lying about the other one's answer. As such, we must apply the circuit that changes the answer of the lying guardian with the same series of gates as before. Let's test this quantum circuit if the treasure was behind the right door and where guardian 0 lies. Here is how the system would evolve. Finally, we only need to ask the question to one of the two guardians to measure one of the first 2 qubits. We can measure the qubit of the other one to verify that we would have obtained the same answer. Interesting fact, we still don't know which one of the two guardians is lying, and Q2 is still in a state superposition. However, we can measure Q2 to determine which of the guardians was lying. We have just illustrated the first possibility, that is, the case where the treasure is on the right and the right doorkeeper is lying. Remember, unlike classical computers, the four possibilities coexist in parallel in a quantum computer until the final measurement is taken on one of the first two qubits. The set of gates works for all possibilities. Here is the distribution for the probability measurement if we run the calculation once. Each of the four possibilities has a 25% chance of occurring. Quick reminder, the qubits are noted in the following way for results. Qubit 0 is on the right, and the others are noted in turn to the left.
Good. So I hope you enjoyed this first Enigma. Again, this was it's called the number 001. There is an intro video before this one, but this really is the start of the series. So now what I would do in the classroom.
I can maybe just add a little bit here from the audience, since you can't see the chat, but I can bring it up here. People are saying, like, what a great framing of a logical problem for students, like super neat. It's very, very well done.
Well, thank you very much. I'm so happy that you enjoyed. So people watching right now, if you have other comments, we are always happy to hear about them. If ever you want to leave us, more definite comments, you can also go to our YouTube channel. I'll give you all the links a little later today. And leave comments over there. You're always welcome to do so. So using this Enigma in the classroom, let me tell you how I do that. So I told you it comes in during the third hour. So what I will do is to show the first part, which is the scenario. And before we give out the answer, I would pause, give a few minutes to the students to think about the Enigma, which is not what I did today just because of the flow of the seminar. But in the classroom, it's just so great to have people think about it. Some people already know this Enigma. This one is particularly well known. But still, people have to think about it, have to figure out what it really means. Then what we would do is to watch the explanation in the video. So going for an extra minute there. Then we would pause before going onto the composer. And using the board, of course, what I would do is to draw the composer, and then with directed questions, ask the students to figure out how to first map the problem, how to hide the treasure, how to then have someone who's lying and then change the answer of the guardian that's lying. And then once we have this whole setup written in terms of quantum gates, then go for the resolving the problem and going to the end of the problem. So this is the way I would go in the classroom. Of course, what we do is to use the IBM Quantum Experience website, again, with the composer over there. It's just a great tool to teach the students. And again, what's interesting with the Quantum Enigmas is that they are easy algorithms to understand and map. They are not too long, or I'll say for most of them. You'll see so at some point during the series it gets a bit more complicated, but still it stays fairly reasonable in terms of depth, in terms of number of qubits as well. So that we would do, and then another question that is very interesting to ask the students is this one. Okay, you know that you have this algorithm that is developed in the first Enigma of the series. Then there is some simplification we can do. So I'd ask, okay, can you tell me what would be a simplified version of this circuit, knowing the following rules? Of course, let me give you a few rules. You need 3 for simplifying this one. So any 2 NOT gates, C NOT gates, or Hadamard gates back to back can be taken off. So this is rule number 1. Then the swap gate, it's very easy to take off for this one too. Just exchanging everything that comes before the swap gate. So if there's any effect of a C NOT or whatever you just exchanged, basically the 2 lines of code between 2 qubits. You change them, and you get a new circuit that has no reason to keep this swap gate. And then this third one is kind of interesting to see. So if you have a CNOT followed by another CNOT, which is encircled by 2 NOT gates here on the not the target qubit, but the control qubit. Yeah, thank you. So if you have 2 CNOTs around the control qubit here, well, this whole series of 4 gates is the equivalent of just applying a NOT gate on, well, Q0 in this case, just because whatever you have on Q1, you will apply a NOT gate on Q0. And with these 3 simple, simplification you can make, then you can go on the circuit I just showed, and you can simplify the circuit. I won't give you the answer here, just because I want you to think about it and maybe figure out by yourself. And you'll see just a bit later, I'm going to show you also where to you can test your logic and see if you have the right answer there. But this in the classroom is just perfect because it gives so many tools to the students, understanding a simple algorithm and then understanding how to simplify a circuit. It's really just great material to have a very interactive classroom without, again, knowing too much about quantum computing. This comes in the 3rd hour of the presentation. Then what we also do is that we have a second workshop, which we call Intro to. Nothing too original there. What we do in this second workshop is to go through the direct notation. And let me show you just a bit. I won't go into too much details here, but still, the idea is to just give the students enough so that they can understand how to write a state vector and how we can, using simple operators, see the evolution of the state vector going through the all enigmas once again. So it's more material that we build on the enigmas just because they are, again, very simple to use. So we present how to use the NOT gate here as operator. So this is, of course, I go into more details explaining everything here when I'm in the classroom, but still fairly easy to understand how to write the NOT gate on a state, on the quantum state. Then the Hadamard gate, of course, we go through this one saying, okay, this is when you apply it to the 0 state, when you apply it to the 1 state, and the more general version of the Hadamard gate. But still, even though we present the more general version, you'll see that in the case of the Enigma number 1, we don't even need this more complicated version. And we stick to, the upper part here of Hadamard applied on 0 or applied on 1. Then we go through the CNOT operator. And the code we use here is to say the control qubit is the first one of the indices here, and the target qubit is the second number. And, well, this is the different states that you get at the end after applying these different operators, and you get the 4 others here. So going through that in the classroom, well, takes some time, but it's fairly easy material to teach to high school students or, again, undergrads. Nothing too complicated there. And then what we do is that we use the algorithm that we just saw in the first video, and we analyze how the state vector evolves through the whole algorithm. So basically, with this color code, having each qubit with its own color, so it gets easier to follow what comes after. Well, of course, there are some explanations that I skipped today about tensor products, for example, and how to write quantum states. But still, you'll see the point of this all. So what we do is that we start with our initial state of 0, 0, 0, and we want to apply a first Hadamard gate. So this is how it's going to look. And at the end of this first gate, this is the state that we get. And then this animation gets through all gates one by one. I won't show you the exact animation of when you apply the CNOT gate, but then when you apply the Hadamard gate here, this is the state of your system that you get. And if you look well, you will see that there is 4 possibilities here before, well, just after the 3 first gates and before the barrier. So at the barrier, this is the quantum state of the system. So you get 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, and 1, 1, 1. And if you remember correctly, so this means that the treasure can be hidden behind the right door, in this case of these 2 states, behind the left door, in the case of these 2 other states, and either guardian 0 or guardian 1 is lying. So this is the, initial situation. And if you go through this whole algorithm, again, I will skip many parts there. Let's go to the very end with the, when we apply this last NOT gate. And then with the animation, once again, it's fairly easy to see that the NOT gate applied on Q2 here in green will give you, any 1 will become a 0, any 0 will become a 1. So we exchange the states here of our system only applied on Q2. And then this is the final state of the system. And if you remember well the previous slide, you will see that this is exactly the same state that what we had. So basically meaning that we solved the problem correctly, and that, using it once again, very simple notation. It gets messy at some point just because there's like writings all over the place, but still, even though it's messy, it's not that complicated, and this material can be easily grasped by the students, and actually they enjoy quite a lot going through it, and without again, going too much into the math of it. So we don't use the matrices. We don't go into like much more linear algebra than necessary here. We just use the operators on the state vector. And once again, we have quite a bit of success doing so. So if you want to watch, the whole series here, I talked to you already about the intro video that we call the required notions. Then there is the series of 5 enigmas here that you see on the screen. And why not 6? Because the 6th one is the one I am going to show you just a bit later. It's the one that we launched today. In this series, you will have an increasing difficulty in terms of the enigma itself. It doesn't mean that the composer gets more complicated. For example, the number 3 here gets a composer that is more complicated than the 4th one. And then with this last one of what we call the first season, because it's the first year of production here, we go into a video with a quantum advantage. We called it the algorithm 1, which is the Deutsch algorithm. And for this one, we have it's a world that is a bit different. If you go watch it, you'll see that it's a 3D world. We wanted to express the quantum world as having more dimensions as the 2D world that Alice and Bob live in. Alice that you met in the first video, Bob comes in the second one, for example. It's a world that is a bit different there. When you measure this world, of course, it collapses and gets 2D at the end. And then we go through the Deutsch algorithm with this last video of the first season. Overall, it's going to be 10 enigmas, including the algorithms, plus the intro video. Right now, as I said, we are launching the 6th video. There's 4 more to go. We already have the scenarios. They're all written down. We've already started working on the next ones with our motion design studio in Quebec City that is working on this like amazing material, again, drawing all the pictures and making all the motion so that it gets lively and very appealing to all. If you want to find the videos, again, you can go on Institut Quantique's YouTube channel. You can also go to the webpage that we created, quantumenigmas.com. Don't forget the S to Enigmas, otherwise you won't find the right page here. And then you will have all the material that we built around the Enigmas on this webpage. Again, feel free to watch them all and put your comments, put thumbs up, and of course, share in your network. Then let me talk to you about more material that we built on the Enigmas. We worked closely with a team at Qiskit that is in charge of problem sets. And the idea there was to say, okay, can we have exercises based on the Enigmas, again, because they are simple algorithms, because they are easy to grasp? Can we use this material to go further, but this time in the coding? So what we did is that we developed with the Qiskit team what they call problem sets. And for, well, the first 4 Enigmas right now, so for number 1, 2, and 3, and 4, there are problem sets. So a set of exercises in each case that, well, bring more questions. So sometimes it's, okay, now that you understand the algorithm that's in this video, can you tweak the scenario for more people, or doing this or doing that? And well, actually, let me show you what it looks like. And we will give you in the chat as well the link to the first problem set. So this is here the window of this first problem set. This is what it looks like. So if you go on this page, then of course you're invited to watch the video, otherwise it will be hard to understand the next questions. And if you click on problem 1, then what happens is that you will have access to, well, a first problem. And well, you already know this problem because it is exactly what I just asked you. Okay, let me go for a run here, so you will see the algorithm of Enigma 1. So I guess that by now you can recognize. Oh, let me get that a bit larger here on the screen. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now you know, well, the look of this algorithm. This is what's been detailed in Enigma 1. Then the idea here is, well, what's asked is, can you simplify the circuit? So the question I just asked a few minutes ago. The hints here are exactly what I just showed you on my slide, which is the three rules for simplification for this algorithm. And then what you can do here, this is once again the same code for the algorithm. And what you can do is go, well, simplification by simplification. You can press on the run each time and see if you get the right histogram of probabilities. So if you always stay with these 4 states of 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, and 1, 1, 1, then if you do a simplification and you still have this histogram, well, most chances are that you get the right answer. And then you simplify and simplify again up to the time you cannot simplify anymore. I won't tell you how many gates there is. I'll let you figure that one out. And then when you think that you're, well, at the end, you can press the grade button and get your grading for this first problem set. And then if you want more questions, then you can jump onto problem 2. And there are some multiple choices questions there. There's more coding to do. And well, going through all problem sets, you will find, well, very various questions there. Some are pretty exciting, actually. So I really encourage you to go try them out. And once again, if you have comments on them, feel free to, well, write to me and give me all comments you have. If you find ways of improving them, actually, well, feel free to drop a line also. And we're always happy to have, well, ways of improving the material that we work on. So this is for problem sets. Right now, again, the 4 first problem sets are out, already working on the next ones. So this will take, well, a few weeks, a few months before they're launched, but still, we are already working on them all. Oh, and you have the links in the chat, but if you want to, well, use a print screen here, you can also go through these QR codes that I prepared for each first 4 problem sets. And now is
Maybe
the
I'll
time.
pause you there because there's a couple questions kind of queued up. So, folks, great time to post other questions. Okay, let's see. From Monica, has there been any educational research? Well, thank you, Paul. Has there been any educational research conducted on the effectiveness of these materials to improve student understanding? And I think that's in the presumption that these are going to be great.
Yeah, of course. Well, this is a great question. This is a question that we've asked ourselves. Well, right now, I must tell that the answer, unfortunately, is no, but we are keen to start a research about that. If you have any ideas or people that would be interested in conducting such research, it'd be great. Because we'd like to know, like, is using a composer like so full with all the colors and with all the engaging characters, does that help bring understanding to quantum computing? Then you may have noticed as well that we took particular attention to I think it's DEI in English, so having characters that have no real skin colors that don't exist in the real world, so that like anybody can identify itself or himself or herself to these characters. We wanted to have female voiceover as well. That was very important to us, so that women can be engaged as well in these videos, and that they want to know more, so that everybody actually wants to know more. So we have all these little things that that was very important to us, that we wanted to be like in the videos. Maybe you noticed, maybe you did it, but I mean, the idea is to have that all there. Now, is there a way to measure that? Is there a way to have a research project that would say, okay, this worked, or this could be improved even more, and all that? That would be so interesting. So thank you for asking. And if you have any ideas, again, you can write to me, and we'll figure something out.
Excellent. From Nasir, should we do the exercise directly using the IBM Quantum Composer, or writing the code in Qiskit? I guess
everything's possible here. I mean, if you want to use the composer because it's easier for you, go for the composer. Again, it's a great tool for engaging first timers in quantum computing. If you're more familiar with notebooks and you want to go in the Python coding, I mean, again, at some point in time in quantum computing, you'll have to go through this. So, the sooner the better, I guess. If you're at ease with this, then go for it. But then, depending on yourself, and if you're teaching this material, then depending on the audience you are targeting, I guess that the idea is to readapt the material. Again, the idea of the Quantum Enigmas is to be very versatile in how we use them. And right now, I can tell you that we are working for more easier questions than the problem sets for probably younger students in high school. Also based on the Enigmas, but asking more general questions. This is not ready yet. It's going to be sometime in 2023 probably. So be aware of that when it comes out. But again, the idea is really to use the Enigmas for the right way for all audiences that are interested in first steps in quantum computing.
And last question from Shashi: what quantum circuit is on your T-shirt?
Oh, it actually is this first. Okay, let me just get a bit higher here. So it's this first Enigma. We wanted to have T-shirts of this first algorithm, and we actually have quite a bit of success with them. There's always people around. It's rare having a day here at Institut Quantique on which nobody would have this T-shirt on. There's always someone somewhere in an office, or sometimes more than one, having the T-shirt of the Enigma. So I'm pretty proud of this project, and the whole Institute is, I guess. So it's pretty amazing this way.
Yeah, we all have to fly over and get a T-shirt.
Yeah, well, you're all welcome to Sherbrooke anytime.
Lovely. Okay, well, with that, please proceed.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's now time for the official launch of the next video, which is the Quantum Library, in which we talk about a pretty well-known algorithm in quantum, the Grover algorithm. So without further ado, if you want to launch this video, then it's the official launch.
Bob has been thrown a curse. He's feeling a little out of phase. You know that the ritual to lift this curse is written in a grimoire located in a quantum library. The problem is, borrowing a book in this quantum library always occurs randomly. When you borrow a grimoire, you don't know which one you're going to get. The good news is, there are only 3 other grimoires in this section of the library. The bad news is, these other grimoires contain only more curses. You call on Ica for help. He has the power to mark the right grimoire by reversing its quantum phase. Your challenge: use Ica's phase reversal powers and your mastery of quantum interference to maximize your chances of borrowing the right grimoire and lifting the curse that afflicts Bob. By combining your knowledge with Ica's, you implement a well-known algorithm in quantum computing, Grover's algorithm. The quantum library initially assigns an equal chance of borrowing any of its books. As it stands, if you borrow a grimoire, you have a 1 in 4 chance of getting the right one. We can therefore assign each grimoire a 1/4 probability of being borrowed. To describe this situation in the quantum world, we first assign each grimoire to a quantum state. Then it is easier to work with a probability amplitude histogram, which shows the phase of each state. The probability amplitudes of each state are set to 1/2. The probabilities of getting each outcome are given by the square of the probability amplitude. Thus, each grimoire starts with a probability amplitude of 1/2 squared, or, simply put, 1/4. Ica uses his powers to mark the grimoire which contains the ritual by reversing its phase. But don't borrow a grimoire too quickly. The probability of borrowing the right grimoire has not changed and is still 1 in 4 chances. You then take over with a quantum operator of your design, which you name the diffuser, and which acts in a very peculiar way. Let's illustrate its application on a single grimoire on a histogram where one grimoire has a 100% chance of being borrowed, for example, number 0. Your diffuser then produces a uniform superposition of all states, but where the phase of the initial grimoire is reversed. The effect of this diffuser on the 0-1 state is, and its effect on the 1-0 state, which would be out of phase, is, and finally on the 1-1 state. When applied to the state that Ica has prepared, your diffuser acts on the 4 grimoires in parallel, as if each one had a 100% chance of being borrowed. The state it produces is simply the sum of the 4 individual results. Applying your diffuser, therefore, allows the probability amplitudes to interfere with each other. Thus, negative amplitudes offset positive ones, and the positive ones add up to each other, which increases the amplitude associated with the desired grimoire and decreases the amplitude of the others. In this case, the application of the phase inversion and the interference operator increases to 100% the probability of borrowing the right grimoire. Bingo! To represent this problem on a quantum computer, we'll use several quantum gates. The NOT gate transforms the state of qubits into their opposite state. For this algorithm, the Hadamard gate is used to switch from the 0 and 1 base to the plus and minus base. The Z-gate rotates qubits 180 degrees around the Z-axis, which is equivalent to inverting the phase of the one state. For example, the Z-gate can transform the plus state into the minus state. Finally, the control Z-gate uses two qubits, a control qubit and a target qubit. If the control qubit is in the one state, a Z-gate is applied to the target qubit. As a Z-gate has an effect only on the one state, the control Z-gate has an effect only if the state of both qubits is 1. As there are 4 grimoires, it is possible to use a 2-qubit system with the following 4 basis states. We associate each of these to one of the grimoires. Quick reminder, qubits are noted from the right to the left. At the beginning, all grimoires have an equal probability of being borrowed. This is the quantum library's policy. We can obtain this distribution of probability by adding Hadamard gates on qubit 0 and qubit 1. Here are the histograms for the probability amplitudes and probabilities of the system. At this point, Ika uses his phase reversal powers in the oracle and marks the right grimoire. In this example, the ritual is in grimoire 2. Ika's powers can be represented by the following gate succession, which will make the phase of the 1-0 state negative without affecting the other phases. You know that it's still too early to go to the borrowing counter. It is essential to first apply the diffuser, which can be implemented by the following circuit. Once you have applied the diffuser, the borrowing probabilities for all grimoires are 0, except for the right one. You can finally move on to the borrowing counter and hope that Bob's situation hasn't gotten worse. In this example, Ika's phase reversal on grimoire 2 could be represented by the following oracle. Here are the oracles that should have been applied if the ritual was in grimoires 0, 1, or 3. In practice, the oracle reverses the phase of the states that meet the problem's criteria, which needs to be solved. What if there were 8 grimoires instead of 4? Your diffuser wouldn't be able to produce uniform superpositions, and your chances of success wouldn't be 100%, but would still reach 95%. In quantum computing, Grover's algorithm is used to search unstructured databases.
That's amazing. This is like Pixar 2.0.
Yeah. Well, I'll pass the word to Studio Nord-Est to work on this motion design again. I mean, they're doing an amazing job, and it's been so great also working with them. And we had to have a firm that would that wanted to like jump into something that they didn't know, that at the same time would be creative, but again wanting to design material that they wouldn't necessarily understand. And they had to, at some point when we're saying, okay, that we don't do, or we need to be a bit more precise on this aspect of the scientific material that we want to pass along. And they are always saying, okay, well, this or that we don't understand, but we have confidence in you, and we want to like follow what you say. But like really, we will walk blindly there. And at the same time, mainly for all the openings and the end, we bring just general ideas. We have a kind of an idea of where we want to go, but not necessarily so precise or defined. And then we bring the basic elements there, and they're always there for brainstorming. Okay, now Alice could do this, or Bob can, this time be sick, and he's a bit out of phase, and this is how we will represent Bob out of phase, and also. Again, amazing working with them. We've been working with them for, 2 years, because it took almost a year before we could launch the first video. It was a lot of work just finding the right colors, the right characters, the right way to present everything. And then again, there's about a year work left, maybe a little less, before we finally launch the 10th Enigma of the series.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Zlatko, do you have other questions? This is about the material that I had for you today. You have my email address there. If you have any questions, then I'm happy to answer them now. And Zlatko, I don't know if yourself have questions or if there's questions in the chat.
Yeah, folks, this is a great time to post final questions as we come up on the last couple minutes here. Great timing, by the way. I think you told us this already, but just in case people are tuning in at this point in the video, where can they find or interact with these quantum enigmas other than emailing you directly?
Yeah, sure. So I'd say two main ways here. You can either go to Institut Quantique's YouTube channel. You will find the playlist there. We have all the videos in English and in French. So if you choose the English playlist or the French playlist, if you want to listen to them in French, then it's all there. Otherwise, going to quantumenigmas.com, then you will find everything in more details.
That's wonderful. Great. I think that's great. I think we have many questions about how the scripting was done, and they were all done, but maybe we'll leave those to later. I think it was just, I will say it's been a joy to really just watch these in the presentation, and I think they get pretty far pretty quickly. A bunch of these tricks, we use in everyday research that you mentioned, that you kind of pick up with all the ways that you look at reducing the circuits by these tricks that you constantly get to use that can really now simplify things. And you've told the story in such a joyful and compelling way with these characters and kind of tying it all together. I think I can say from the comments, which you can't see in the chat here, I think people were really thrilled. So I personally found it very spirited and thought-provoking and aesthetically beautiful. So just want to appreciate you and the team for this really nice work.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you to you, Zlatko. Thank you to all people watching right now. And it's been my pleasure presenting this work to you. We work quite hard getting there. There are so many questions we ask ourselves. We want to have to go as far as possible without going too far, so that we can still understand it. It still stays within the reach of most people interested in this material. It's not necessarily easy. Again, it's of course for people that want to jump in and want to go a bit further into quantum computing, but still having this material accessible is very important to us. But again, conveying ideas of quantum computing as much as possible, and and even the more complex material, we want it to be under the reach of most. And if you enjoyed it, it's our pleasure. I'm glad.
Wonderful. Well, I'll stress test it on my wife this evening. And
that's good.
And I think with that, again, thank you very much for accepting our invitation and for this beautiful presentation. Again, any final words? Otherwise, I think we'll close up.
Well, that's about it for me. Thank you so much for the invitation. It was great talking with you today, and hope you enjoyed the rest of the series.
Likewise. Well, folks, this video will stay recorded, so you can go back and rewatch it. I think we will have a lot of the links posted in the comments, both chat box as well as in the YouTube video description. I think you can scroll back through this video to find many references and ways to engage or connect deeper with this material. I hope you enjoyed it as thoroughly as I have. And with that, we will see you next Friday at noon Eastern Time.